Imagine two people. They grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the exact same school, and possessed the exact same level of raw intellectual talent. They even start their careers at the exact same company on the exact same day. Fast forward 10 years. One of them is a highly respected leader, steering a massive organization, enjoying deep, fulfilling relationships, and living a life of profound peace. The other is stuck in a loop of frustration, constantly complaining about unfair politics, alienating friends, and wondering why the universe seems to be conspiring against them. What is the difference between these two individuals? It wasn't luck, it wasn't a secret inheritance, and it certainly wasn't their IQ. The invisible force that violently pulled their lives in two completely opposite directions is something so subtle, yet so overwhelmingly powerful, that most people completely ignore it until it has already ruined them. It is their temperament. There is a universal truth that governs human existence, a silent law that dictates the rise and fall of kings, the success of empires, and the trajectory of your individual life. It is the simple, undeniable fact that your temperament determines your destiny. We live in a world that is obsessed with acquiring skills. We are constantly told to learn how to code, how to market, how to speak in public, and how to invest. We spend decades in schools and universities accumulating technical knowledge, believing that our intellect and our resumes are the keys to unlocking a prosperous future. But the graveyard of failure is completely filled with brilliant, highly skilled, and exceptionally talented people who simply could not control their own minds. You can be the most brilliant strategist in the room, but if your default reaction to criticism is explosive anger, your brilliance is useless. You can possess a visionary mind for business, but if your underlying temperament is built on chronic impatience and paranoia, you will inevitably self-sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. Skills might get your foot in the door, but your temperament dictates how long you get to stay in the room. To understand why your character dictates your fate, we have to look at the anatomy of human decision-making. Life is not a single, massive event. It is a relentless, continuous stream of thousands of micro-decisions made every single day. The way you respond to a delayed flight, the way you react when a colleague takes credit for your work, the tone of voice you use when your partner makes a mistake, the internal dialogue you have when you suffer a financial loss. These moments seem insignificant in isolation, but they are not. Every single reaction is a brick being laid in the foundation of your future. When a person has a volatile, uncontrolled temperament, their decisions are not made by logic or long-term vision. Their decisions are hijacked by temporary emotional storms. Think about the nature of anger. Anger is intoxicating. It feels powerful in the moment. It tricks your brain into thinking you are asserting dominance and protecting your ego. But anger is the ultimate destroyer of destiny. How many marriages have been burned to ashes because of words spoken in a fleeting moment of rage? How many million-dollar partnerships have been shattered because someone let their pride dictate an email they sent at 2 in the morning? When you lose your temper, you are essentially handing over the steering wheel of your life to a primal, reactive part of your brain that does not care about your future. It only cares about immediate gratification and ego defense. On the opposite end of the spectrum is the profound, almost terrifying power of a calm and composed temperament. A person who has mastered their internal state is like a deep ocean. The surface might be hit by a violent storm, criticism, financial setbacks, betrayal, but the depths remain entirely undisturbed. When you possess a steady temperament, you have the ultimate strategic advantage in life: clarity. You see the board as it actually is, not as your emotions distort it to be. When someone insults you, a calm temperament allows you to see their insecurity rather than feeling an urge to defend your own. When a crisis strikes your business, a composed character allows you to immediately look for the hidden opportunity, while everyone else is panicking and looking for someone to blame. The ancient philosopher Lao Tzu often compared the highest form of human character to water. Water is soft, yielding, and seemingly powerless, yet over time it can cut through solid rock. It does not argue with obstacles. It simply flows around them and continues on its path. A person with a water-like temperament does not waste their finite, precious energy fighting meaningless battles of ego. They do not need to scream to be heard, and they do not need to crush others to feel tall. Their power lies in their unshakable consistency. People trust them. Opportunities gravitate toward them. Wealth and deep relationships naturally accumulate around them because they provide a safe, stable harbor in a world full of chaotic, unpredictable storms. But here's the most crucial question. Is your temperament a fixed genetic trait, or can it be changed? Many people fall into the victim trap of believing that their character is simply who they are. You hear people say, "I just have a short fuse, it runs in my family," or "I am just a naturally anxious person, I can't help it." This is a deeply dangerous illusion. It is a surrender of your ultimate human agency. While it is true that we are all born with certain baseline emotional tendencies, your temperament is not a life sentence written in your DNA. It is a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken, rewired, and rebuilt. Changing your temperament requires a journey of brutal self-awareness. It starts with understanding the space between stimulus and response. The renowned psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, who survived the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, observed that the ultimate human freedom is located in a tiny, invisible fraction of a second. It is the space between something happening to you and how you choose to react to it. For a person with an untrained temperament, that space does not exist. A stimulus occurs, someone cuts them off in traffic, and the response is immediate, explosive rage. They are basically biological robots, reacting exactly as their programming dictates. But when you decide to take control of your destiny, you begin to stretch that space. You learn the art of the strategic pause. When a crisis hits, or when someone attacks your character, you do not react immediately. You take a breath. You observe the emotion rising in your chest, the heat, the adrenaline, the urge to lash out, and you simply watch it without acting on it. You ask yourself, does reacting to this serve my ultimate goal? Will this response build the future I want, or will it just satisfy my ego for the next 5 minutes? By mastering this pause, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your reality. Cultivating a winning temperament also means adopting absolute humility. Arrogance is a fatal flaw in character because it blinds you to your own weaknesses. The arrogant mind believes it has nothing left to learn, and therefore it becomes rigid and fragile. When the world inevitably changes, the rigid mind breaks. Humility, however, is the ultimate form of mental flexibility. A humble temperament allows you to absorb feedback without feeling personally attacked. It allows you to fail, analyze the failure with cold objectivity, and try again with new data. The most successful people in the long game of life are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones whose temperaments allow them to fall, smile, learn, and stand back up without losing their enthusiasm. Furthermore, we must recognize how our temperament shapes our external environment. The law of mirroring states that your external world is a direct reflection of your internal state. If your character is chaotic, dramatic, and untrusting, you will subconsciously attract people and situations that match that chaos. You will find yourself constantly surrounded by drama, not realizing that you are the common denominator. Conversely, if you cultivate a temperament of gratitude, resilience, and quiet confidence, you will act as a magnet for high-quality individuals. People who are building empires, whether in business, art, or family life, do not have the time or energy to deal with volatile, emotionally immature adults. They seek out partners and collaborators who have mastered themselves. Therefore, your temperament is literally the gatekeeper to the highest levels of society and success. We must also talk about the role of patience in the architecture of destiny. In our modern digital age, our brains have been rewired to demand instant gratification. We want the body of an athlete in 30 days, the wealth of a CEO in 6 months, and the wisdom of a sage from a 15-second video. But the universe operates on the law of accumulated effort. Great things take an agonizingly long time to build. If your temperament lacks patience, you will constantly abandon your goals right before the breakthrough happens. You will jump from one shiny object to the next, from one career to another, from one relationship to the next, leaving behind a trail of half-finished bridges. A masterful temperament understands the power of the long game. It understands that you must show up, do the unglamorous, boring work day after day, year after year, without demanding an immediate reward. Patience is not simply the ability to wait. It is the ability to maintain a positive, aggressive attitude while you are waiting. Think about the legacy you want to leave behind. When your time on this earth comes to an end, people will not remember the exact amount of money in your bank account. They will not remember the titles on your business cards, and they will not remember the clothes you wore. They will remember how you made them feel. They will remember your character. They will remember if you were a source of light and stability in their darkest moments, or if you were a source of stress and anxiety. Your legacy is entirely dependent on your temperament. So how do you begin this transformation today? Start by observing yourself relentlessly. Become the silent watcher of your own thoughts. When you feel the urge to complain, stop. When you feel the desire to gossip, remain silent. When you are faced with a setback, refuse to play the victim. Every time you consciously choose a positive, controlled response over a negative, impulsive reaction, you are physically rewiring the neural pathways in your brain. You are building emotional muscle. It will be exhausting at first. Your ego will fight you. It will scream that you are being weak by not fighting back. But slowly, over time, the new pathways will become your default setting. You will wake up one day and realize that things that used to ruin your week now barely even register on your radar. You will realize that you have become untouchable. In the end, you cannot control the economy. You cannot control the opinions of others. And you cannot control the inevitable tragedies that life will throw your way. But you have absolute totalitarian control over your own mind. Do not let your life be a series of accidental reactions. Take the reins of your character. Cultivate peace, forge iron discipline, embrace extreme patience, and approach every human interaction with deep, unshakable composure. When you master your temperament, you stop being a leaf blown around by the winds of fate. You become the wind itself. You become the undisputed master of your own destiny. The choice, as always, is entirely yours. Keep building your mind, and your empire will inevitably follow. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always updated when we drop new videos. If you found this helpful, drop a like and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.